Today I will use this 22-pin circular knitting machine to knit a cat. If you already know how to knit tubes on a circular knitting machine, go ahead and knit the cat's head and body pieces with a chunky weight eyelash yarn. So both the cats are made with the same number of rounds. For the black cat, I used the less fluffy side as the outside, and the one that I'm making today, I'm going to use the fluffy side. We start by casting on. So find the first pin on your knitting machine and alternate wrap the pins. Now we place the yarn into the feeder. For my machine, it knits pretty well with this yarn without additional tension, so I'm just going to go ahead. Row 1, 2, 3, and a last row 15. There. So now, casting off, we take the yarn out of the feeder, put it into a needle. Zoom in. So what I'm doing is I'm going to crank one at a time. So when the pins sink inside, I will pick up the loop. Now we're going to make bendable body parts. So make a loop on the wire. You can use a thicker wire than what I'm using. I just happen to have this size and I want to use it up. This part here tends to poke out, so wrap some tape around it so that it doesn't poke your fingers. These cats are not intended for young children. They have wires and eyes that can fall off. We fold the yarn in half and thread it through the loop. Now we make a slip knot. So if you use a thicker wire, your cat may be able to, stand on his own. This one is a bit too thin. We will crochet around the wire with one of the yarn tails on the wire. And you hold it like this. You go under the wire, pull up a loop, and pull through a loop. That will be your first stitch. Okay, we will do 17 of this. This is number 2, number 3, 4, so keep an eye on the working yarn tail. If it gets too short, we can just switch and continue on. We end the crochet by creating another loop on the wire and secure the yarn tails on the loop. So here are the amount of yarn we need to make each part, and now we will start sewing them together. Now we're going to work on the cat's head. So put the yarn tail to close the opening and fill it up with poly fluff. I want the shape to be flat on the back of the head and pointy on the face. We can roll up some poly stuffing and chuck it into the face area to make it puff up more. Now close one end of the tube This end is the top of the cat's head. So make sure to get the needle under the stitches and that we're not air sewing. For the body piece, we concentrate the poly fluff in the base area to create the tummy shape. We will fold this neck part inwards, so it's like making a sewing dot, and ladder stitch the sides of the dots together. This will create a cone shape. You can make the neck area stiffer just by sewing through this pointy part several times. When we add the head into the neck, it will be more stable. So right now the shape doesn't look like a cat yet. We will do more intense shaping after we sew the body parts, starting with the ears. Bend them into a triangle shape and use the yarn tail to sew the wires together so that it doesn't fall apart. Now that the ears are sewn, I mark the center of the face where the nose and mouth will be. I mark it by sewing around and cinching it a bit. Just be careful not to pull too tight or it may skew the face shape. Now I will add the arms. Bend it in half and twist the bended part into a cat paw shape. Then use the yarn tail to connect the two sections into one. With these crochet wires, you can adjust the arm's length. So here I shorten it a bit before sewing it onto the body. I only sew on the top curve of the arm. The underarm is left unsewn so that it can move. For the legs, I reshape the wires by bending them in half twice, then twist it to make the paws. The legs are sewn on the bottom of the body. For the black cat, I sew the legs as is on the side of the body. The tail is twisted in half to make about a 3.5-inch tail. So now we go to the fun part, that is shaping the face. I want the nose to kind of face upwards like a Persian cat. For comparison, this is the nose on the black cat. We will use a felting needle. The sides are jagged and they are very sharp, so be careful when you use it. We will poke on the area we want to shape. The yarn on top will intertwine with the poly fluff underneath and get matted together. So I will do the area around the eyes. So think of a raccoon mask. On the black cat, I created a bridge for the nose. I also shaped the chin by felting upwards. The tummy is done by felting the chest area so that it lies flat. Next step, we will add the facial features. If you don't crochet, you can use felt fabric or buttons to create the eyes and nose. So it's nice to have different textures. It makes the cat look interesting. So, like this. And I want to close this one. There's a hole. So maybe you want this part to be more round.